So I'm really, really grateful to be here and join all of you again. And it's always so special for my family and I to to join ISKCON of Bergen County. Thank you to Ramachandra Prabhu for inviting me, and thank you all the devotees um, for hosting this call every week, which, as you have mentioned, has been going on a long time. The last time I joined this call was maybe a year ago, I think. So yes, it's nice to be back. So we'll start with some introductory prayers to the spiritual master. If you can allow me to share the screen.
Let me update that group. Now you should be able to share.
Yes. Mhm. Om Jnanam Timirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadammayam Tadadi Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya eva cha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this topic today is in preparation for our upcoming Gaur Purnima, our glorious festival that's coming up all around the world, and which will be celebrated by all the devotees in different countries, different nationalities. And this is something truly glorious because we didn't know that this would happen, that one day Lord Chaitanya's name would be spread all over the world. This was the desire of the devotees, but 500 years ago, 550 years ago, before Lord Chaitanya's appearance, no one knew that this would actually happen. So the fact that next week we're celebrating Gaur Purnima in, what is it? In a week and one day, right? Is very amazing here all around the world. And this is a time for us to absorb ourselves, to discuss and to relish the appearance and pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda, the Panchatattva, in preparation of their appearance. And when Ramchandra Prabhu asked me to do this class, it was like, I was actually thinking for some time that it would be nice to do do something on the Chaitanya Bhagavat, because um, it's such a wonderful book, and myself included, most devotees don't know much about it. We read Chaitanya Charitamrita, and in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he again and again writes that this is just footnotes to another greater work. This is just, what's left over from another greater work by the Vyasa of Lord Chaitanya, by the Vyasa of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Who is who? Who is that?
Vrindavan Das Thakur.
Yes, Vrindavan Das Thakur. That this is just the footnotes to that literature which is written by the Vyasa of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, Vrindavan Das Thakur, which is called the Chaitanya Bhagavat. So this is the Chaitanya Bhagavat. And so for a long time, I had not read this book. And then when I read it, then I was like, wow, how did we miss it for such a long time? How is it that we are, missing this book? It's so wonderful. And Vrindavan Das Thakur indeed has this special talent, has a special blessing that he can describe Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes in a way that no one in the world can. Vrindavan Das Thakur is described as Lord Nityananda's favorite devotee. He's his favorite devotee, and he's the son of Narayani, and his mother personally served Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, participated in his pastimes as a small girl. Narayani was a small girl. And so, and Narayani was the daughter of one of the brothers of Srivas Thakur, Srivas Pandit. And so, therefore, this is written by someone who's so close to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I'm going to start off with some very beautiful verses from Chaitanya Bhagavat that describe the beauty of this text, that describe the beauty of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. They describe the beauty of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they request us to please relish these pastimes. They awaken us that what are you, we're missing out. How are we missing out on this? We should dive deep into this ocean of the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is all about Krishna Prema and Lord Chaitanya's mercy. So I see Mahaprem Prabhu here. So this is directly all about this wonderful prema. So Chaitanya Bhagavat, and I don't have the verse numbers here because there's two editions of it, translations, and one of them doesn't put verse numbers. So it's in that chapter, but it's somewhere in that chapter. And I just had one day to prepare for this. So some of the verses and the references got a little bit mixed up. So please, especially those who might be watching who will watch the recording, if you can't corroborate, it's somewhere there, but it's in one of those chapters. So Vrindavan Das Thakur begins. He says, "What is the luster and value of pearls next to the Lord's teeth? One is sure to lose his mind at the sight of the Lord's beautiful, cascading black hair. All other lotuses look faded and artificial next to the pinkish, graceful lotus eyes of the Lord. His long hands extend down to his knees, and the thin line of his Brahman thread hangs loosely across his broad and expansive chest. A thin and perfect tilak decorates his broad forehead. Without any jewelry or ornaments, every limb of his beautiful body looks exquisite and captivating. Whence goes the brilliance of millions of precious gems compared to his dazzling nails? This is so beautiful. Whence goes the brilliance of millions of precious gems compared to his dazzling nails? What use do I have for ambrosia when I see the sweet smile playing on my Lord's lips? Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu are my life and soul. I, Vrindavan Das, humbly offer this song at their lotus feet. So the Lord is the Lord's form as Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is described as exceptionally beautiful. Why? Because Krishna is known as the all-attractive person, right? This is the definition of the word Krishna. Krishna is the same root as akarshati, one who attracts all the three worlds. So Krishna is the most attractive person. And Krishna is attracted by one person. Who is that person? I know this is on Zoom, but it's going to be a little interactive. So who is the person who Krishna is attracted by?
Radharani.
Yes. Srimati Radharani, right? So Srimati Radharani is so beautiful that she is the one person in the universe who attracts Krishna. Everyone else in the universe is attracted to him, but she is able to attract Krishna. So she has this golden complexion, and Krishna has this blackish complexion. Now, Krishna is the most beautiful, yet he's attracted to Srimati Radharani. And when Krishna comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then he's Krishna coming to this world, but in the mood and in the color of Srimati Radharani, right? So how beautiful he must be. He is Radha and Krishna combined. This is what Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, that the one has become two, and now the two has become one again. The one Supreme Lord Krishna has become Radha and Krishna, and those two have become one again in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the combined beauty of Krishna and Srimati Radharani have come together as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So just imagine just how beautiful he must be, how beautiful he is. And one time, His Holiness Chandramani Maharaj was saying, how his only desire, he said, in some context, someone was asking what's, his desire, and they were asking devotees what their different desires were. And he says, the only desire I have, he said, is to see the dancing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says, how beautiful the dancing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must be. If I could just see that one time. Because this is the Lord who is Krishna. Krishna is normally the blackish complexion, who's now become golden, who has the features of Radha and Krishna combined, and who dances. And as he dances, tears of love flow down his eyes, right? So it's just unbelievable, their beauty. The transcendental pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are the purest form of divine ambrosia. So we may say, okay, so he is so beautiful, Krishna is so beautiful, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but what about us? What's my connection with that? And here, Vrindavan Das Thakur says that his pastimes also are the purest form of divine ambrosia. I pray that these unlimited pastimes increasingly appear in the minds of all living beings. One who desires joy from hearing these narrations will surely see the beautiful face of Lord Chaitanya directly. So this is why Vrindavan Das Thakur writes this book, because he wants to share these pastimes with the whole world. They are the purest form of ambrosia, right? And he's praying that let these pastimes appear in the minds of the living beings. And what is the result of it? That by hearing these pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we will very quickly see the beautiful face of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the benediction, this is his promise, and this is one who constantly hears his pastimes will become fortunate one day to witness the beautiful face of Lord Chaitanya. And this is a devotee's promise, and this is one of the themes of Chaitanya Bhagavat, which is kind of the theme of today's talk, is the glories of the Lord's devotees, that how special the devotees are to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. the greatness of his devotees and the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is described here. So, so this is all about that. And Lord Nityananda's dearest devotee is promising to us that if we hear, we will be able to see him. And one thing that can help in hearing is that there's a very nice narration of Chaitanya Bhagavat by His Grace Damodar Prabhu. It's available for free on YouTube. You can type in Chaitanya Bhagavat audiobook narration by Damodar Prabhu, and it will show up. It will come, and you can hear it. It's so soothing. It's 100 times better to hear it than to read it, I think, or even to have a seminar on it. Just to hear it, it's just a flow of nectar. All glories to the Lord, for he is the life and soul and the most precious object of love of all of the Vaishnavas. Kindly bestow your merciful glance on all the living entities so that they may become liberated from material entanglement. So like all the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vrindavan Das Thakur, his heart's desire is that all the living entities may become liberated. He has the same prayer as who? Who can say? Who had the same prayer?
Prahlad.
Prahlad Maharaj. And in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, who was that Prahlad Maharaj?
Vedas.
That's true. With someone else also. Who prays that all the living entities may be.
Advaitacharya.
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 Huh?
Advaitacharya.
Advaitacharya. No, but specifically one devotee prays that, my Lord, you liberate all the living entities of this world, and in place I will be in hell for eternity.
Oh, Vasudeva. Vasudeva.
Yes, Vasudev Datta. Vasudev Datta. Yes. So Vasudev Datta asked the same benediction from the Lord. That, my Lord, because see, the devotees are actually so happy internally. They're feeling so much Krishna, so much bliss inside, right? So much spiritual ecstasy that they're never sad for themselves. They're never lacking or wanting anything for themselves, right? They don't need anything. They don't want anything. They don't desire anything because they have everything. In the holy name of Krishna, in Krishna's, in their connection with Krishna, in their service to Krishna, in their, relationship with Krishna, they have everything. So they are so happy, Nityananda, right? Eternally blissful. Premananda Sukhi. They're always happy in Premananda, in Prema. That their heart is paining because the other living entities they're feeling are so unfortunate. And their quality of Paradukha Dukhi then manifests in this way that then they just pray to Krishna that somehow, please liberate all these other living entities so they can also feel what I am feeling. They can also feel that happiness, that bliss, which I am feeling. So, so in that, what happens is that Vasudeva Datta says this prayer to Lord Chaitanya, and when he says it, he actually means it. Lord Chaitanya knows this. We also go and tell Krishna, just give your mercy to everyone. But then when things go bad for us, we're like, wait, stop. For me also, make things good for me also. But he actually means it. And Lord Chaitanya is so happy with him. He's so pleased that he says that now my body belongs to you, Vasudeva Datta, and you may therefore sell me anywhere you like. And this is the quality of a pure devotee. Why they're so dear to Krishna and why we have to be so careful with them, with devotees in general, because they can sell Krishna anywhere, right? That's how close they become to Krishna. That's how dear they are to Krishna. And so then he tells them that you can sell me anywhere. And in the same way, Vrindavan Das Thakur can give Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to anyone at any place because the Lord belongs to him, right? And after that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I will fulfill your desire, Vasudeva Datta. But you don't have to go to any hellish planet. You won't have to suffer even a moment. Rather, to fulfill your pure desire, I will take the sins of all living beings. And in this narration, in this book, Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur actually describes this whole incident in detail. We find this in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also in a summary form. And in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, he describes it in detail. And when that happens, is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his whole body, it said that he had a golden complexion, but when he takes the sins of all the living entities, his whole body becomes black. And Vrindavan Das Thakur particularly mentions that the Lord turns his body from golden to black. Why? Simply says to show the world that he's accepting all the sins. Actually, the Lord is so powerful that what is all these sins? His golden form should have just stayed golden, right? I mean, we read this throughout the Ishopanishad that the Lord is never affected by material sins and material conditioning. This whole Maya is like a feather to him. What to speak of the sins of one creation? So the sins of the living entities could not even make his toenail black. But Lord Chaitanya makes his whole body black at that moment, just to show the world that he is accepting the sins of all living entities simply because Vasudeva Datta asked him to. And upon his devotee's request, he's accepting it. And we were just reading one Sunday before, we were talking on chapter 13, text 8 to 12, where Krishna describes all the qualities of one in knowledge. He describes everything that is knowledge and says everything else is ignorance. So in there, one of the qualities is Acharyopasana. That's one of the fourth or fifth in the list of qualities. And in the purport to that verse, Prabhupada mentions under Acharyopasana, he writes only 4 sentences. The second sentence he mentions, he says that the effect of serving a pure devotee of the Lord is that one gets Krishna even without following the rules and regulations. If one serves the devotee of the Lord without reservation, he says, even without following the rules and regulations, one gets Krishna. And then he says after that, in the next line, he says, or in other words, following the rules and regulations becomes very easy by serving the devotee of the Lord. So the point is of that what to speak of serving the devotee, just by the desire of the devotee, the whole world can become liberated. And if we serve the devotee, then how much more likely it is that we will get liberation. Of course, one of the ways we serve the devotee is by following the rules and regulations, because that pleases them. But the point being that we see the power of the devotee. He says, all glories to the moon-like Shri Gaura Chandra, whose cooling rays benedict the entire universe. Kindly offer me your lotus feet as the eternal treasure of my heart. All glories to Lord Gauranga and his devotees. If one hears the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya, he surely attains the highest stage of love of God. So here we go again, right? See, he says, if one hears the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, he surely attains the highest stage of love of God. In our temples, we are always reading Srimad Bhagavatam and we are reading Bhagavad Gita. But oftentimes we forget or we don't get the opportunity, or we're just, busy in so many things that we don't get the chance to read Chaitanya Charitamrita and the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, which Prabhupada also gave as a 3rd book. And that's okay to some degree, because actually it's said that the Bhagavatam is the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta purports are such that he brings Chaitanya Mahaprabhu throughout his purports. At the same time, these verses encourage us to read Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat, because they are giving assurance that by hearing these pastimes, one gets the highest stage of love of God. And so we shouldn't miss this opportunity. What an opportunity. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, said that he said that if there's a great fire in this world, and he said, or there's a great flood, and he said he only had enough room to take 3 books. He said, I would take the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he would take those 3 and go on a boat. And he said if all the other books in the world were drowned and lost, he said nothing would be lost, because I would have these particularly he says Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then he says that if by chance, it becomes very difficult and the boat is getting too heavy and I can only keep one book, he says that I would just keep the Chaitanya Charitamrita because that has everything in it. And so this is the essence, the beauty of this literature. What is glittering gold next to the Lord's aura? The full moon has lost interest in her own beauty, and she yearns to see the glowing face of the Lord. How enchanting they look, Nityananda and Lord Gauranga, as they roam about Navadip with the devotees chanting the holy name of God. So in a previous verse, we heard about diamonds. Here we're hearing about gold. There's many verses in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that say that one who has found the gems of the holy name of Lord Gaura and Lord Nityananda, for him, what are the gems of this world? One who has found the glittering gold of the aura of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's effulgence and his beauty. What is this material, like Prabhupada said, stool-like gold for them? Simply, this is the most enchanting thing in the world. Anyone who hears Lord Chaitanya's pastimes immediately gets love of God and becomes his eternal servitor. This is the blessing. All glory to Lord Gaurachandra, the Lord of the entire universe. He is the crown jewel of the Brahmanas, the supreme amongst all the Vedic personalities, the perfect renunciate. He is an ocean of compassion, appeared like a brilliant gem out of the womb of the blessed Mother Shachi. All glory to Lord Vishwambar and Lord Nityananda. All glory to his devotees and associates. One attains the highest perfection of life by constantly hearing the narrations of Lord Chaitanya's transcendental pastimes. Once again, the last sentence here. One attains the highest perfection of life by constantly hearing the narrations of Lord Chaitanya's transcendental pastimes. So the key word here is constantly, right? We have to make a habit that we can constantly hear. And this is why reading is so important. This is why these audiobooks are so important, so that we're driving, we can hear. We're falling asleep, we can hear. We can have it going on all night. So we wake up in the morning, we can hear. When we wake up in the morning, we're brushing our teeth, we can hear. We have to be constantly hearing. And by that process, we can attain the highest perfection of life. So this is about Lord Chaitanya. Now, the associates of Lord Chaitanya are also being described. And sometimes the description of the associates is most wonderful. In this particular discussion, I want to talk about Madhya Lila chapter 13 of Chaitanya Bhagavat. Chaitanya Bhagavat is also divided in three parts, Adi Lila, Madhya Lila, and Antya Lila. And I want to talk about the pastime of Jagai and Madhai, because this is a pastime which is described again and again, but we actually don't find it in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's not there. So where is it from? It's from the Chaitanya Bhagavat. And in the Chaitanya Bhagavat is described in detail. So sorry for all this text, but we'll get to the pastime and then I'll stop reading. But I want you to get a taste of the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Lord Nityananda is the object of Lord Chaitanya's complete love. And it is my heart's desire that that same Lord Nityananda reside in my heart as my most beloved Lord and Master. By his grace, I've developed attachment and attraction for Lord Chaitanya. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sends out Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur to go door to door to share his message and to share his name. And Vrindavan Das Thakur first of all describes who are these personalities who he sends out. This is Lord Nityananda, one who desires to cross over this ocean of nescience and drown in the nectarian waters of love of Godhead, must take shelter of the lotus feet of Nitai Chandra. Whoever sings and glorifies this wonderful pastime will be blessed by Lord Vishwambar, along with his entire family. Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the most beloved object of everyone's love. The name of Lord Vishrambar is extremely rare and precious. Sri Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, and Sri Nityananda Prabhu are my life and soul, and I, Vrindavan Das, humbly offer this song at their lotus feet. So, Lord Nityananda was sent by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and along with him, Haridas Thakur. And Haridas Thakur, we know he's Namacharya. And Lord Nityananda was like this, you could say, this ocean of love of God. And the whole world was drowning in his love of Godhead, which he was giving out even more freely than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in some ways, right, as his representative. And Haridas Thakur, we generally think of him as Namacharya, the person who chanted the holy name in solitude. But in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, again and again we find in Adi Lila chapter 16 and then in Madhya Lila chapter 13 that Haridas Thakur, on the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was continuously preaching Krishna consciousness. It's not that he was just sitting in a solitary place and chanting, which itself is amazing, but he was also going door to door along with Lord Nityananda and preaching in the holy name, along with him and also separately, right? So he was distributing this love of God in every town and village, and one of his main methods of doing so was his own beauty, his own effulgence and nature. He describes Haridas's hands reached to his knees, his eyes were like the lotus petals, and his enchanting moon-like face was beyond compare. So Lord Chaitanya was like this, but his associates were also like this. Each one of them, due to their spiritual potency, was glowing due to love of God. And Haridas Thakur, one of his main associates, was very much like this. So Haridas Thakur, we know the famous pastime of the Qazi and the Nawab, where he's beaten in 21 marketplaces. He was beaten because he was preaching Krishna consciousness, right? He transformed entire villages. He would go into a village and the whole village would become devotees. He would go into the next village and then people would challenge him. There was the Brahmana who challenged him and then he lost his nose because he was criticizing Haridas Thakur. And similarly, he goes door to door. And what was the quality of Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur? The Lord's supreme mercy is as vast as 1,000 oceans. He sees the good qualities of others and never finds fault in them. So Prabhupada describes how when Krishna came 5,000 years ago, he said, surrender unto me. Sarva dharman parityaja. You surrender unto me, and if you surrender unto me, I will liberate you. He told Arjuna so many things, act in the mode of goodness, be a nice devotee, this and that. So Krishna sees us. He sees our good and he sees our bad. If we do bad, then, we get a reaction for it. If we do good, we come closer to Krishna. But the quality of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, their specific nature in this age is that they don't see the faults in others. Their mercy is the vast as 1,000 oceans, right? They only see the good in others. They don't see anything bad in others. And because they only see the good and don't find any fault, anyone who comes to them, anyone who they encounter, anyone who comes in touch with the holy name of Krishna and in this movement gains liberation. They become liberated. They transcend this material world. Now, this is their specific quality. This is their immense mercy. And one may ask now, if that is the case, then how is it that I've missed out, right? If they only see the good in others and their mercies like the thousands of oceans, then why have I not received pure love of God? Why have I missed out? I'm chanting, I'm coming to the temple, I'm associating with devotees. At least I'm thinking that I'm trying really hard. But what is it due to which I am missing out? And this is the pastime of Jagai and Madhai. This is what we will um, briefly discuss in the time that we have left. And there were two purposes. One was just to introduce this text, which we have done, and now to talk about this. Regarding this specific pastime, it's said that one who hears this narration regarding the deliverance of these two rogues will be delivered by Sri Gaurachandra. So this is not an ordinary pastime. Prabhupada again and again described this. He again and again, talked about this. And so what is this pastime of Jagai and Madhai, right? Why is it so significant? Lord Chaitanya liberated so many people, and he continues to liberate. But what was very specifically important, and what did he show through this particular pastime, Jagai and Madhai? So one time, as we know, Jagai and Madhai were these two drunkards who were walking down the streets of Nadia, and they were born in Brahmin families, but they're very cruel, so cruel that it's described that they would, if an old person or a weak person was bathing on the ghat, they would push them into the ghat. They would come up from behind, they would hide in the bushes, they'd push them in the ghat, and then jump on them and drown them. This is what they would do as a daily affair. Can you imagine? This is how fallen they were. This is how cruel they were, but they were very wealthy, very aristocratic. So no one could, they came from an aristocratic family, so no one could stop them. They were rapists, they were murderers, they had, Vrindavan Das Thakur describes that there wasn't a house in Navadvip that they had not looted. So they were, and they also had extraordinary power, because it's described that Jagai and Madhai were none other than Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksh, none other than Ravan and Kumkaran, none other than Shishupal and Dantavakra, and now they had been born for the fourth time, right? So these two brothers were harassing all the people. They hated the Vaishnavas, they hated anything spiritual. And so every day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we saw, had ordered Nityananda and Haridas Thakur that you go and you preach Krishna consciousness. You go door to door and you request everyone to take Krishna's name, to chant Krishna's holy name, to accept Krishna as their mother and their father, and to accept Krishna as their life and soul. Like Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dhana Pran. So that was the basic message that was given to them. Now, Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur, they would go and they would go every day. And Haridas Thakur was a very loving and simple and well-mannered devotee of the Lord, because he's Haridas Thakur. He's a jiva. He's Brahma in the form of Haridas Thakur. He's come in that way, serving Krishna very humbly. He's Haridas Thakur. But Lord Nityananda, he's none other than Lord Balaram. Like Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, Nityananda is Balaram. So he's more in the mood of the Lord, right? And so when he would go out, when Lord Nityananda would go out preaching, he would do all sorts of things that were so risky. Lord Nityananda would jump into the Ganga and try to catch the crocodiles that were in the Ganga. Long time ago, I guess there were crocodiles in the Ganga, and he would try to hold on to them and catch them. And Haridas Thakur would become in so much anxiety that the Lord, he's playing with the alligators, and he'd go and scream for help, and people would come and apparently rescue Lord Nityananda, or he would try to pull him back. Similarly, Lord Nityananda would sometimes go to some young girls who are sitting on the streets, and he would scare them, and then he would tell them, "Why don't you marry me?" And in this way, he would joke with them, and then the parents of those girls would get very angry. Then they would come chasing Lord Nityananda with sticks, and then Haridas Thakur would have to calm them down and describe them. No, he is just an Avadhuta saint. You cannot, Avadhuta means someone who's in transcendental love, and people understood that at that time. He is in a transcendental madness almost. Similarly, he would go and do all these things. And one of the things that he would do was that he would go and try to give Krishna's holy name, try to preach to Jagai and Madhai. And everyone in the town told him, don't go to them. Don't go to them. They're very dangerous. But he would go. Why? Because Lord Nityananda decided that I will save these two brothers. So one day, Lord Nityananda decides, so most of the days he would try, but then they would chase Nityananda and Haridas Thakur away, and they would run for their life. Remember, they had they had killed so many people. They had, swords and all these things. So they would run and every time escape. But one day Lord Nityananda said, today I'm going to deliver them. And so he goes straight up to them. And then they say, who are you? He says, I am Avadhut. It's another name of Lord Nityananda. And at that time, Jaga and Madhai, they become very angry with him and they start to chase him again. But Lord Nityananda does not move. So Madhai, he takes a bottle and he throws it on Lord Nityananda's forehead. And when he throws it on his forehead, then Lord Nityananda, blood comes out. And at that moment, Lord Chaitanya knows, he's the Lord within everyone's heart. And they've attacked Lord Nityananda, who represents the devotee of the Lord, the spiritual master. And so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes running immediately to that place. And before Lord Chaitanya comes, Lord Nityananda, in spite of the fact that blood is flowing from his forehead, he begs them again, please take the name of Krishna, chant the name of Krishna. Krishna is your father, Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your life and soul. Because Lord Nityananda's purpose was, he said that if I can liberate these two brothers, who are known as the most sinful, then the whole world will know that, look at the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That then the whole world would have to agree that he's the most merciful. So when he does this, right, if he's able to do this, then that will glorify Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we see that similarly Prabhupada did the same thing. Srila Prabhupada, he is a pure devotee of the Lord. He could have liberated, the nobility and the pious people of India and all the pious, people in America. But he goes to New York's Bowery, and there you had the drug addicts, the acid heads, the drunkards. Someone one time chases Prabhupada out of his apartment, his roommate, not roommate, housemate in a different room, chases him out with a knife. And Prabhupada is dealing with the most fallen people who are the most dangerous, but Prabhupada liberates them. And through that way, he shows that being the representative of Lord Chaitanya and his representatives are most merciful. Right? Because he's able to liberate not the nobility, but the ordinary folk, the hippies, right? And so when he does that, then everyone has to agree. The whole world agrees that this is truly powerful, because it's not just the Indians, but the Americans, the Russians, the Europeans, the Australians, everyone is taken to Krishna consciousness. So in the same way, he says that if I can liberate them, then Lord Chaitanya's movement will become established. And so again, he's begging them, you please take Krishna's holy name. In the meantime, Lord Chaitanya comes. And when he comes, then he picks up his Sudarshan Chakra and he's about to kill them. Now, of course, when the Sudarshan Chakra is there, then it's, glowing and it's, like the biggest weapon on this planet, right? So Jaga and Madhai, they start to immediately tremble in fear and they start to beg for mercy. And when they beg for mercy, then Lord Chaitanya says that I am here to liberate all living beings, right? He never sees any fault in anyone. The Lord is so merciful. In this incarnation, I am liberating everyone who takes my shelter, except why I will not liberate you? Because you have offended, you have insulted my devotee, Lord Nityananda. And therefore, you have no means of deliverance. It flips around, right? He's the most merciful. We just read all these verses about Lord Chaitanya's mercy and his beauty. But one who offends his devotee, he says, no, now you have no way of being liberated. And when Jaga and Madhai hear this, and when Lord Nityananda hears this, their hearts sink. Because Lord Nityananda still, this is why he's the most merciful, most munificent. But he still wants to liberate them, even though Lord Chaitanya doesn't want to liberate them. He still wants to liberate them, even though they have thrown a clay pot on his head. Lord Nityananda still wants to liberate them. Even though blood is oozing from his forehead, he doesn't care. He wants to liberate them out of his mercy. And so he says, "We will not get any liberation because you offended my devotee. You offended Lord Nityananda." So seeing this, Lord Nityananda then gets a wonderful idea. He says, "My Lord, don't kill Jagai, because Jagai actually protected me. Madhai was hitting me, but Jagai protected me." And so then the Lord says, "Oh, because Jagai protected you, therefore I will forgive Jagai. But Madhai, you have no means. You will get annihilated." So we think of this pastime oftentimes as a pastime of, well, the Lord liberating the fallen souls. It is about that. But the majority of this whole pastime is about Lord Chaitanya's mercy and how do we get it, and the result of serving a devotee and the result of offending a devotee. So Lord Chaitanya says, "No, you can't get the mercy, Jagai, Madhai. But Jagai, because you protected Lord Nityananda, not only will I not kill you, but I will give you pure love for Krishna." Sorry. So, we see the effect of protecting a devotee of the Lord. That because he protected or served the devotee, he gets pure love for Krishna. But then Madhai falls at the Lord's feet. And he says, "My Lord, me, Jagai, and I were both engaged in the same types of activities. So why will you liberate him and not me? It's just so happened that I threw this bottle at Lord Nityananda, but we are both the same." And Lord Chaitanya says, "Even for 1,000,000 lifetimes, I will not liberate you, Madhai." And then Lord Chaitanya says very clearly that even for 1,000,000 lifetimes, I will not liberate you because of the offense that you've done. But then what happens? Lord Nityananda falls at Lord Chaitanya's feet. He holds on to his hand and he says, "My dear Lord, it is my desire that you please forgive Madhai. Because in this day and age, you came to liberate all these souls. In the previous ages, you came to kill the demons. But in this day and age, you came to liberate them." And then when Lord Nityananda says this, then Lord Chaitanya stops. And then he tells Lord Nityananda, he says that actually they are already liberated. He begs, Lord Nityananda begs him. The Lord Chaitanya says that the moment that you wanted to liberate them, they became liberated. Again, the point being that the moment the devotee wants that someone goes back home, back to Godhead, just by the desire of the devotee, the Lord liberates that person. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then he requests Nityananda. He says that, "Oh Lord Nityananda, you embrace Madhai." Because Madhai had done such a grave sin, even Lord Chaitanya could not protect him. So he tells Lord Nityananda, he says, "You embrace Madhai. And you've already shown the mercy, now embrace him." Then he embraces Madhai. And both Jaga and Madhai, they begin to swoon in ecstatic love for Krishna. The moment that they're embraced by the Lord, they become liberated and they fall down at his feet. So then, at the end of this chapter, Vrindavan Das Thakur draws very, very amazing teachings from this pastime. And I want to share some of these verses because they're very relevant. By hearing and reading these verses, it actually deeply affected personally my own Krishna consciousness, so to say. It made a big difference because we always say Lord Chaitanya is the most merciful, but why isn't he showing that mercy? How is it that the holy name is not acting on us? Krishna's name, which is the ultimate atonement, does not deliver one who offends a Vaishnava. The holy names of the Lord have more power for destroying sinful reactions than all other kinds of atonement mentioned in the Smritis. So the holy names can destroy all the sinful reactions of all the three worlds. And they're the greatest form of atonement. However, the name does not act upon one who offends a Vaishnava. Right? So Jaga and Madhai, they had the direct association of Lord Nityananda. They were taking his shelter, their offerings, obeisances, but they could not get that liberation until Lord Nityananda allowed them to, because of Madhai's offense to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gaurachandra, he says, will deliver everyone. He delivers everyone in this world except those sinful persons who blaspheme Vaishnavas, who blaspheme devotees. Now, I mentioned to you how this particular pastime is very, very special, and how this particular pastime we should read. But part of the reason I'm giving these verses is because this is actually the theme of Chaitanya Bhagavat. Virtually every single chapter in the Chaitanya Bhagavat ends with verses like these, that whatever it is, don't be critical of devotees, don't blaspheme devotees, because Lord Chaitanya delivers everyone in this world except one who blasphemes Vaishnavas. So we have so many, spiritual desires, right? And we all want to go back home, back to Godhead. But the only one thing that we need to do, the only price we need to pay, is to not offend devotees. If we just avoid that, if we avoid the blasphemy, if we avoid the whole offense business in private or in public, or amongst devotees or outside of devotees or alone, if we just avoid that, we get everything that we want. We get pure love for Krishna. Lord Gaurachandra will deliver everyone except those persons who blaspheme Vaishnavas. And then why is this the case? Vrindavan Das Thakur describes this. He actually gives the reasoning, and this is in the Adi Leela, as you can see. So as I mentioned, it's in so many different places in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. He says, if one living entity feels hatred or envy towards another, this is ultimately a reflection of his relationship with the Supreme Lord. Once again, if one living entity feels hatred or envy toward another, this is ultimately a reflection of his relationship with the Supreme Lord. And the Lord never tolerates one living entity's transgressions against another. A wrongdoer is surely punished. So not just devotees here, right? It's saying any living entity, if we feel hatred or envy towards that living being, because that living being is part and parcel of Krishna, that is actually us feeling it towards Krishna, right? So when we feel it towards one living entity, then it is feeling it towards Krishna. So on one hand, we want Krishna, right? But if we are hating Krishna, if we're envious of Krishna, then at the same time, we're saying, I don't want you, Krishna. So because both of those things can't go together, this is why we don't get love for Krishna. Because we want to simultaneously love him and also hate him. If we are giving that up towards another living being, then we automatically become very dear to Lord Gauranga. According to the Srimad Bhagavatam 5.10.25, even if someone on the level of Lord Shiva blasphemes a devotee, he will soon be destroyed. There's so many verses here in this. I just brought out a few. There's pages after pages of verses in which he describes this. He says, even if one is a sannyasi, even if one is in the renounced order of life, even if one has done asceticism for millions of lifetimes, and here it says, even if one is Lord Shiva and one blasphemes a devotee, that person becomes destroyed. So that's why we're very careful. But sometimes we're convinced that someone's not a devotee. But what if they are and we get it wrong? Then what happens, right? So I put this image here because it said that even if one blasphemes someone as powerful as Lord Shiva, even if one is Lord Shiva, he becomes destroyed if he blasphemes a devotee. And in this picture, we see the reverse, right? Where Daksha is the father-in-law of Shiva. And Daksha is one of the most pious people in the world. That's why he's Daksha. He's like, filling up the whole world with progeny. He was so pious. He was so powerful. All the demigods, all the sages would sit at his feet. Yet he offended Shiva, who's Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, the greatest of devotees. And what does he get? He gets a goat's head. So, so this is why we have to be very careful. Though Daksha in some ways was in a senior position, he was the father-in-law of Shiva. But due to his offense, he got a goat's head. Because of this, even though I may be as strong as Lord Shiva, I shall be vanquished without delay due to my offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. So that is that is Vrindavan Das Thakur speaking. That even I, who is the dearest devotee of Lord Nityananda, he says, I will be vanquished if I offend a devotee of the Lord. And then he concludes, Padma Purane Raye Param Vachana Prema Bhakti Hoya Iha Karile Palana. On the other hand, one who honors these confidential words will attain ecstatic love of God. He says, on the other hand, one who understands this and honors these words of the Lord, that person will get ecstatic love for Krishna. So in other words, if we just avoid that one thing, if we just stay out of it, we avoid it, we don't enter into it, and we serve the Lord and we serve his devotees, then we will get ecstatic love of Krishna. It's as simple as that. And I think it's Madhya Lila chapter 10. Vrindavan Das Thakur describes how Lord Chaitanya loved his devotees so much. And he showed by example how to love the devotees. That he, Lord Chaitanya, being even the Supreme Lord, he would regularly do menial services for the devotee. Again, something we may not have heard. But it says that he would wash the clothes of the devotees. He would render simple services to the devotee, like, cleaning up after them after they ate. Simple things like this. The Lord would personally do this for the devotees. He would offer menial services just to instruct the whole world, right? So that is the real heart of bhakti. In our neophyte stages, we focus a lot upon serving the Lord, doing this, doing that, we have to do this, and that is very good. But service to the Lord is ultimately non-different than service to the devotee, right? And while we're all very eager to serve the Lord, we should be even more eager. We should be even more and more eager to serve the Lord. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and I'll end with this, I'll end in a few minutes. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur actually has written purports for all the verses of the Chaitanya Bhagavat. And the translation by Bhanu Maharaj, which is available for free online, just type in Chaitanya Bhagavat PDF, you'll get it, in 3 parts. It's not in one part. It's like some website, Prabhupada something, prabhupadmedia.com. And you get it as Adi Lila, Madhya Lila, Antya Lila. He's written commentaries on the entire Chaitanya Bhagavat, like every single verse, like Prabhupada's purports on Chaitanya Charitamrita, he's done on Chaitanya Bhagavat. And in those, verse after verse, he describes the glories of serving the Lord's devotees. And not he's describing, Vrindavan Das Thakur is describing. And Vrindavan Das Thakur quotes from all the different scriptures about the glories of serving the devotees of Krishna. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, in his commentary, adds further comments and gives further quotations from the scriptures. And here are some examples, and then we'll just end with that. In the Mundaka Upanishad, it said, by worshiping the devotees of the Lord, all one's desires will be fulfilled. All the desires become fulfilled, whatever desire we have. Of course, this famous verse, only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master, are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Then he quotes Baladev Vidyabhushan's commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. These are all from that Chaitanya Bhagavat. So yes, if one wants the highest benediction, he should serve the devotees of the Lord. So this is the power of blessings, right? If one wants the highest benediction, he should serve the devotees of the Lord. He quotes Shandila Smriti. One may doubt whether the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will attain perfection. One may doubt whether serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one will attain perfection. But there's absolutely no doubt that those who are attached to serving his devotees will attain perfection. One's mind is not as fully purified by serving the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord as it is by serving the feet of his devotees. Mind becomes more purified. This is why our eagerness in this movement is to serve Srila Prabhupada. But not just that we are serving Prabhupada, we are serving his devotees also, right? That we are serving one another. We are serving his disciples. We are serving his grand disciples. We're serving his movement, because that is service. That fully purifies our mind. One's mind is not as fully purified by serving the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord as it is by serving the feet of his devotees. In the Adi Purana, it said, my dear Partha, those who claim to be my devotees are not my devotees, but those who claim to be the devotees of my devotees are actually my devotees. And then Adi 10, Chaitanya Bhagavat, he says, Ataeva karila age bhakti ravandhana, Ataeva achik karya siddhira lakshana. I have therefore offered my prayers first to the devotees, as this is the secret for attaining perfection. Right? Vrindavan Das Thakur shows this by example. In every chapter, he shows it by example. In the beginning of the book, he shows it by example. At the end of the book, he shows it by example. Throughout the book, he shows it by example. His spiritual master, his direct spiritual master is Lord Nityananda. And the whole book is more dedicated to Lord Nityananda than even Lord Chaitanya, because he first offers his prayers to the devotees, because that is a secret for attaining perfection. And similarly, Srila Prabhupada, this is why his purports directly follow the Siddhanta. Prabhupada therefore writes 3 or 4 times, he writes this in different places in the Gita. He says, the satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is a secret of advancement in spiritual life. He says, secret of advancement in spiritual life here. In other places, he said, secret of success, secret of success, secret of success. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also concludes in the same way. Let me repeatedly offer my respectful obeisances unto the be-like devotees who always taste the honey of the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If even a dog somehow takes shelter of such devotees, he enjoys the aroma of the lotus flower. Right? We may feel that I'm useless, I'm a dog. I mean, I've tried chanting, it doesn't work. I've tried everything, I can't control my senses. I'm a failure. That's exactly the situation that qualifies us to take shelter of the lotus feet of the devotees. And if we take shelter of their lotus feet fully and wholly, and Prabhupada says this, right? What does that mean? He says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, text 8, he says, to serve the devotee of the Lord without reservation. Taking shelter of the devotees means serve them without reservation, unreservedly. Then we get the aroma of the lotus flower at the feet of the Lord. Right? We get the lotus feet of the Lord, the honey of the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu becomes available to us simply by serving that devotee. Thank you very much. I'll stop here.